Hello everybody! Today we're going to review Toby from the Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends universe. Toby is an 060 steam-powered tram engine. Toby works the Northwestern Railway and wears the number 7. Toby is frequently seen pulling his faithful coach, Henrietta. So today, in addition to taking a detailed look at Toby, we'll take a detailed look at Henrietta and also 2 museum coaches. But first, let's take a look at Toby. As with all Thomas and Friends locomotives, Toby is based on an actual locomotive. He's based on the Great Eastern Railways, or GER, Class C53 060 steam-powered tram locomotive. These locomotives were built by the Great Eastern Railways Stratford Works. Now, we've mentioned the Railways Act 1921 in previous videos. In a nutshell, the Railways Act 1921, which took effect in 1923, resulted in the British railway system being consolidated into 4 major operators. We mention it here because, as a result of the Railways Act 1921, the GER Class C53 trams were passed over to the London and North Eastern Railway, one of the big 4 operators created, and designated the LNER J70. The C53/J70s were built between 1903 and 1921 with 12 locomotives produced. All were withdrawn by 1955, and unfortunately, all were scrapped. Alright, let's take a closer look at Toby, Henrietta, and the museum coaches. Okay, so let's take a detailed look at Toby. So we'll start from the side here, and we'll work from the left to the right. So we start off with the hook and loop couplers here in the rear, and you've got the buffers with the red stems and the black pads. You can see there in profile. And then as we work across here, you can see at the bottom there's gray side plates that kind of extend down toward the almost to the track level. And then you can see here there are 3 step-ups into these door structures here, and you can see the little handrails. They're kind of painted in a brass color. And then of course the black are windows. And yeah, they kind of give the illusion of a window without really having to see into the interior of the car, because there is no interior to look at. So that black is kind of fake windows. So there's a door in the rear, door in the front, again with the little handrails there. And then you can see the brown, 2-tone brown. The planking is the lighter brown, and then the framing is the darker brown. Presumably that's all wood framing. And Toby has the number 7. It's the yellow number 7 with the red outline. And then to the front, you'll see again hook and loop coupler up front with the red buffer kind of stem there, and then the black buffer pads. And you've got a utility hook between those buffer pads on either end. Looking up top, you can see that there is a, you'll see it more from the front, but it is kind of an arched, kind of grayish white roof. And then you've got the funnel or the chimney, whichever you call it. This is for the boiler that's inside the inside the locomotive. And then here you can see that there's a trolley bell right there along that side of the roof. All right, let's give it a spin. All right, looking at Toby from the rear, you can see that those side plates there transition to a cow catcher in the back. So that extends there from the bottom of this red bumper down almost to track level. And then protruding through the cow catcher structure here is the hook and loop coupler. Buffers on that red bumper, and you can see the black pads there. You can see the gray utility hook between them. And as we move up, we've got the lighter brown planking again, and then the darker brown framing around the little windows. And then you've got a lamp there between the windows, and you can see the framing kind of extends over and under that lamp, connecting those 2 windows. And then here's a good view of the arched roof. All right, let's continue around. Okay, so on this side of Toby, it's pretty much identical to the opposite side, except for the fact that the trolley bell is on the opposite side of the roof. You can still probably see it from this angle here. There's a chimney, and then you can see maybe this structure. It's kind of diagonal. It's like at an angle across the top of the roof. We're not really sure what that structure would be on this particular locomotive, but it's here. And then you'll see that more when we look at the top. You can see the side plating here, also on this side with the step-ups, the doors and the handrails, the number 7, the brown planking, of course, and then the darker brown framing. So yeah, again, except for the roof features, it's exactly the same as the opposite side. So let's give it a spin. All right, and here's the side with the money shot here. We've got Toby's face right up front here as we look at the front view. Again, that side plating transitions into a cow catcher structure here in the front. Hook and loop coupler with the buffers, just very the same as the back. The only difference in this side or this end of Toby is the face. So again, red bumper. Get a couple bolt structures here. If you can see those little bolt details, that's the same in the back. You've got the utility hook between the buffers, and yeah, same planking, framing around the windows and so forth. And you've got that lamp in the back, and then of course Toby's smiling face. As with all of these Bachmann HO scale Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends Universe models here, the eyes will traverse back and forth when Toby is going along the railway, when he's running on the railway. So that's kind of a cool feature. But yeah, Toby is really one of our favorite locomotives. He's just such a unique thing to watch that trolley run around the track. It's crazy. Love it. So yeah, let's take a look at the top and the bottom. Okay, so here's a good look at the roof here. You can see the trolley bell to one side. You've got the little cord that connects to the bell. Then you've got there's that diagonal structure going across the top. If anybody knows what that is on this particular locomotive, leave a comment. We'd love to know. And then here's the chimney or the funnel for the boiler. I can't imagine what it's like inside, enclosed in that trolley with the steam boiler going, but there you have it. So yeah, nice little detail on this roof. Again, it's kind of an arched roof there. It's kind of smooth plastic. There's no other details on the roof, like there's no bolt or rivet work molded in there or anything like that. Those 3 structures are pretty much it. So yeah, okay, let's take a look at the bottom. All right, taking a look at the bottom here, you can see Toby is a 060 tram locomotive here. So he's got the 6, 3 on each side, drive wheels here. He's got the hook and loop couplers on either end with that delicate copper colored spring there. You can see there's a screw with each coupler so that you can take those off and replace them if they somehow end up getting broken. And then because of the the side plates and the cow catcher structures kind of skirting the bottom of the locomotive, it's pretty hollow up there. So there's not a lot to see way up in there. But here you've got the Bachmann logo down there, a couple of screws to access the motor compartment. And I think that's pretty much it down there. Not a lot of detail, but just to give you a look. Okay, so let's give Toby one final spin. All right, so there you have it. The Bachmann HO scale, Thomas and Friends Universe, Toby. Now, in case we didn't mention it earlier, we also have Toby in G scale, and we have a video of him running out on our garden railway with diesel. And there's no Henrietta in G scale, so Toby's pulling our little Disney coaches around. So check that out if you get some time. But for now, we're going to move on and look at the rolling stock that Toby will be hauling on the layout, and that would be Henrietta and 2 of the museum coaches. Okay, next up is Henrietta. Henrietta is a passenger coach and Toby's favorite coach to pull around. Now, like many other things in the Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends universe, Henrietta is based on a real passenger coach. And she is based on the GER, or Great Eastern Railway's, Weisbeck and Upwell tramway 4-wheel coach. Okay, as we move around Henrietta, she's about 5 inches from coupler tip to coupler tip. And moving front to back, you can see that there's a little profile there of a red bumper. You'll see that more from one of the end angles. But it's got a couple of black buffers with black buffer pads, red utility hook. And again, as we stated, she's a 4-wheel coach. On either end, there's this kind of open area where presumably people can step out onto and take in the sights as they're being pulled around. There's a couple step-ups on either one of those areas as well. And then the main body here is this kind of fake wood, planking on the side with windows. There's no detail on the inside of the car. But these windows are clear windows. They're not blacked out like a lot of the locomotive cabs are. Down on the framing here, it's a black frame with some, again, with metal wheels and some fair detail there on the suspension. You might be able to see from this side here, but there's a gray, slightly arched roof, and then we have some 3 vent features there on the roof. There's 6 total, there's 3 on the other side. And then we got this nice, imitation ironwork here on those open areas. All right, let's give it a turn. Okay, looking at the back of Henrietta, we've got the hook and loop coupler here working from bottom to top. We've got the black buffers, utility hook, and that red bumper there down on the lowest section there. In profile, you can see the side of those step-ups on either side. And then for this kind of porch, for lack of a better term, I'm just going to call it a porch. I'm not sure what that feature would be on a railroad rolling stock, but you've got this ironwork here. It's plastic, obviously, on this car, but it's more than likely ironwork on the actual car. But yeah, we've got the railing and these kind of decorative ovals here. It's kind of like 2 little bars here, and then these supports, this archway here, kind of makes up the frame of the rear of this this kind of porch structure here. And then deeper in here, going into the main cabin, we've got the door, a couple of windows. And again, the brown color indicating that it's probably, most likely made of wood in real life. So, all right, let's give it a turn. And then on the opposite side, there's no big differences here. It's pretty much the same as the opposite side. You've got the planking here on the main body. You've got the windows. And then again, the step-ups, for the entryway there into the coach. Metal wheels, suspension as on the other side. So not a ton different here. Then you get the vent work again on that side. There's a little bit of a utility box under the framing here, under the floor framing. But yeah, all right, let's give it a final turn here. Okay, on this end here again, exactly identical to the opposite end here. You've got that kind of porch here with a step up to enter the coach, the mock ironwork there, arched roof, but yeah, completely the same. Now, it's interesting because Henrietta doesn't have a face on this particular version of the rolling stock, and in fact, in the media, the books and the TV shows, she has a face in some and not a face in others. So one of the more inconsistent face things there on Thomas. But anyway, this model does not have a face, even though it is a named coach. All right, let's bring it full circle. And let's take a look at the top and the bottom. Okay, looking at the top here, there's not a ton of detail up here. It's a pretty smooth plastic gray roof here. And then again, you've got those 6 vent features along the top. And then kind of, because it kind of extends beyond the width of the car frame here, you might be able to see these step-ups here on either side. They kind of flare out a little bit. And then the hook and loop couplers and the bumper features, the buffers and the hook standing out there in profile. But yeah, that's the top. Let's take a look at the bottom. Yeah, not much detail here at all. You've got these kind of utility boxes slung under the frame. You got the metal wheels here. Those metal wheels are, there's no electrical lighting or anything in this particular car. The metal wheels are probably just there for, weight, and they sound good on the track, I think. But you've got your coupler there with that little delicate spring in there, and there's a little screw for changing out the coupler if they break or whatever the case may be there. And then we've got some screws here to separate the bottom from the body, and we've got the Bachmann logoing and that white part number that we see on all of these Bachmann HO scale Thomas models. But yeah, just to give you a look at the bottom. Again, not a ton of detail to look at there. All right, let's give Henrietta one more spin. Okay, next up are the museum coaches. So there's 2 museum coaches. There is the regular coach that you see in front of you here, and then there is the brake van version of the museum coach, which we'll see in just a couple minutes. We'll go through this coach in some detail, and then we'll just throw the brake coach on the turntable just to show you the differences quickly between the two. These museum coaches use the same molding as the red coach. So we've done the red coaches in previous videos, so you've seen them in detail in the past and maybe running on the layout. But these are really the same coaches, except they have a different paint scheme, and maybe the plastic, the color used in the plastic molding is different. But basically, from coupler tip to coupler tip, these are 5 inches long, and the predominant color on the body here is a kind of a dark purple, and then it's got this nice white trim across the midline here, and then those little white stripings there are also bordered by this gold trim as well, if you can see that up close. And then between the windows, you've got this white painted area here, and then you've got this white striping across the running platform there, or the decking here. The other interesting paint feature here is that if you look closely, you can see on the wheels have a little white paint stripe around the rims, which kind of gives them a little dressy appearance. So yeah, these are nice looking coaches. They have 4 doors. These are non-functioning doors. They're just molded into the plastic. And then you can see here they've got along the top of the roof line, you'll see it better from the top, but they've got 4 ventilation structures up there on the top. And these are 4-wheel coaches here. All right, let's give it a turn. So looking at the back on the camera, this might be a little dark here. These are really, like I said, the color is like a dark purple, or kind of like a dark plum, I guess would be more descriptive. So you might not be able to see the features just because the car itself is so dark. But basically, again, we have the black decking down here, black buffers and hook and loop couplers, and then here we've got these it's like smooth plastic, so it's not looking like it's trying to be any kind of like wood paneling or anything like that, but there's some vertical bracing up and down here along the length of the width of the rear here. And then with the white roof, it's got this little slight arched roof. Yeah, so not much to see back there, but yeah, so let's give it a turn. Okay, the opposite side here is identical to the other side, so there's not too much new to go over here. It's just got the same paint scheme, 4 doors. The windows. The windows here are clear. There's nothing to see inside these coaches, but these windows are clear. Unlike some of the cabs on the locomotives that they just use black plastic to represent windows. So that's kind of nice. It does give the appearance of glass, even though there's nothing inside the cab to see really. But yeah, same paint scheme. The little striping on the wheels, again, nice feature. All right, let's give it a turn. So the two ends of the cars are identical. It's got the, again, kind of dark to see here, but it's got the vertical bracing. This back of this is no different than the opposite end, so we don't need to spend too much time on this, but just to give you a look. All right, let's bring it full circle. All right, let's take a look at the top and the bottom. Okay, so the top of this coach here, it's like a white roof here, so hopefully you can see it kind of against our white background here. But it's just a shiny, shiny painted plastic, and it's got the 4, vent features there along the top. There's really nothing kind of sticking out past the width of the car here to see, past the roof line there. But yeah, so there's not a ton to look at up there, but again, just to give you a look. And let's take a look at the bottom. Okay, on the bottom there's virtually no structural, there's no detail down here to speak of, but you've got your metal wheels here. The metal wheels sound nice on the track, I think, and give the car a little bit of extra weight. You've got some screws down here to separate the deck from the body in case you need to get in there for any particular reason. And then on your hook and loop couplers, you've got screws here that you can take those couplers off if you need to. The trucks have this suspension detail molded into the sides. On these cars, most of the detail is appreciated from the side. There's really nothing to look up into the bottom at detail wise, but it's got the Bachmann stamp down there, and then it's got the part number like we see on most of these Bachmann HO scale, Thomas and Friends universe, rolling stock and locomotives. Okay, just real quick before we finish up here, I just wanted to point out the difference between the regular museum coach and the museum brake van coach. So the big difference here, there's 2 main differences. And here you can see that there's a little bit of a bump out here that's different from this end. This end here just has the door and then the window and the trim. This one has the door and then this bump out here with the bigger white area and then some trim there. So that is one of the differences between the regular coach and the brake van coach. And then if we give it a turn. Okay, and then on the end, the difference between the end of the brake coach and the regular coach is that this end has 4 windows versus just the regular end of the regular passenger coach that just has the bracing. So this does have bracing here, and it does have a little bit of a flare out. But there's windows here that aren't on either they're not even on the opposite end of this car. It's only on this one end here where that bump out is. So we'll give it a quick turn here just so you can see what I'm talking about. So we have the windows, and then let's turn it to the opposite end. As compared to this end here, which just again has the bracing and the smooth. There's no bump out or anything like that. And that's only at the far end of the brake coach. The other end of the brake coach looks just like this. So there you have it. Toby, Henrietta, the museum coach, and the museum brake coach. Now let's take them all out on the layout for a run.